welcome to A Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn. This is our last show before the month of December, because next week, Thursday, is Thanksgiving. So gobble gobble to all of you fans out there.
I'll just wait for my introduction.
And just as we go into the holiday season, I want to just wish everybody well. Obviously, I'm not here alone. You can hear the texts and the calls and the desperado of somebody who needs some introduction. I don't know why they showed up late today, and we get ready to do some Tiffany Cross with him. The pun intended, because you know I love Tiffany Cross. This is Brother Leon. We're here, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody, because I don't know if you know this, but I've been doing this show for over 13 years now. This is like our 13th year of doing this show. I started out doing it in radio, and before radio, I was doing it. I was doing the Tai Rants, which the Tai Rants I started in like 2002-ish, 4-ish, or something like that, what have you. And it was a blog connected to my website. And A Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn, was birthed from there. Shout out to WFO Radio in Buffalo, New York, who gave me my first home for my show, A Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn. It used to be on Monday nights. And here we are today, where I'm self-producing the show from all of the other radio networks and streaming networks that we have been bouncing back and forth from. So just a little history on A Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn. Brother Leon, we have some things that we need to talk about.
But before you say, I'm just going to very quickly. Approaching the holidays, especially Thanksgiving, there is so much to be thankful for. So I hope that everyone appreciates that and take that into consideration when we embark upon the holidays. So.
Yeah, it's a lot that we can be thankful for, and I'll be thankful for him to be on time next time we're on set. So that's it. I'll put in my stocking a wish that he comes on time, and then I'll be super thankful. Now, guys, I know last week some people were talking about some of the things that were going on. We were getting our group back because we had been on hiatus for a minute because of obviously Brother Leon's health and just getting everything together with the show. And we had to take a break, like all shows take breaks in time in between seasons and what have you. We can't keep running on and on straight through whatever. So I keep my iPad next to me because I want to make sure that I stay on topic, so that when I'm working with the producers, I'm not falling off the topic. You see Roland Martin do it, so don't start hollering at me, okay? He does it, and he's one of the greatest, the now one. So anyway, on to you, Brother Leon. So now this is a segment that we're just going to start doing in the show, and it's called Clear the Air. It's one of the segments that we're going to do when we talk about something the prior week. What I used to do is I used to get online Friday morning and do a recap, and then also decide that I didn't talk about the things that we made a mistake in, but I want to do it on the show. So this is called Clear the Air. Welcome to Clear the Air. So Brother Leon,
the gist of that is when we discuss a topic or we open a topic, we want to bring you facts. If we make mistakes, those facts will be corrected so that you do get the actual fact.
Absolutely.
The first one was what I did. So let me clear that up. We were talking
about all what he did, not the first one. All the ones that we're clearing up is everything that
we're doing
said.
everything.
And if you look at last week, I said, according to Brother Leon, don't get me caught up.
Okay. So let me think before I get to according to Brother. Okay, anyway. We did, I made a mistake with Warnock, and what I said was about the libertarian. He was running, he's a Democrat, by the way, and he was running against a libertarian, which brought down the numbers, which is why it was a runoff. So when I said which party he was running for, I inadvertently said libertarian. He is not. He is a Democrat. There's going to be a runoff, and he will win. The second was we were talking about independence, independent voters, and there's a difference. There's a difference between independent party and independent voters. Independent voters are voters that it's self-explanatory. They vote independently without any type of party affiliation. There is an independent party which is called AIP, which is the American Independent Party. And they were, as Brother Tai said, they're far right-leaning. but they're not to be mistaken between independent voters, which have no party affiliation. So we just want to clear that up. Because I know people say, oh, wait a second.
I'm independent.
Independent, I'm not independent. I'm not going to party. So, we make mistakes in the, like I said, it was the first time now. But we just wanted to clear that up. So that there is a distinction between that. So independent voters are independent, which has no party affiliation, and independent party, which is called AIP, which is the American Independent Party, they are far right leaning. So that clears that up.
And then you also have one more clarification to make for our sister in
Our
media.
sister Joy Reid, I'm so sorry, love. They were on the heels of Tiffany Cross casting her show. They, I guess, would just pick. I think they gave accolades to black women, so I really have to clear this up. There were rumors that her contract was not going to be renewed, and there was some Fox. I'm just going to call the name, who said that her contract was expired, and she too was on the chopping block, and that was echoed. And I blame myself, because when I saw that, I'm like, oh wow, her too. So that was incorrect. Her show is still alive, still vibrant. There are rumors, but rumors are just rumors until they become facts. So in the event that that does happen, we will relay the facts to you. But as of now, she still has a job, and she's not fired. So I cleared that up.
And also, in defense of Brother Leon, there was a correspondent who's in media who said from a reliable source. So he started a whole Twitter thread that they had a conversation that it was her ratings and all of this different stuff, and that she was unrelatable and unmanageable and unrelatable and all these different things, what have you, and that she started to beat up her guests and all that kind of stuff, whatever. So they started this whole thread, and it became public knowledge to everyone because of that thread and because of the supposed credibility of the person who started the tweet. So just in his defense as well, even though we want to make sure that we back up everything that we say with facts. So that's why I always tell my people that, when you get information, source it out in different places and find out what's going on.
And I'm going to give her kudos, because in that same argument, we brought up that there should have been, like Reid and the others that should have came out in her defense. Joy Reid was the first one that did. So we're going to give her kudos for that, and that may have led to rumors, but rumors are just rumors, like we said. So we cleared that all up.
We cleared that all up.
Oh, thank you.
So
except for my raise, which is still had not been.
We're waiting for him to raise himself up so he can get here one time. That's where his raise needs to come from. So let me explain that to you folks, just in case you want to know. So this is another segment that I wanted to come up with. It is called The More You Know.
Right? Okay.
It's called The More You Know. And the reason why I came up with this segment, The More You Know, is because during the IQ 45 years and during the COVID lockdown and all that, I had a segment called Prosecuting the Case. And each time I would talk about, why Kamala Harris was important, why this was important, and I'd break down the facts for each particular situation and why those situations were important. Now, I've started this new one, The More You Know, because when I was growing up, it was like this thing that used to pop up on the Saturday morning cartoons, like, the more you know, after they gave you a fact. So I love that statement, and I'm aging myself, obviously, but oh well. I will stop the vampire, baby. So anyway, so that's why I came up with this segment, The More You Know. Now, in this segment, I want to talk about Will Smith being with the rush to excommunicate him versus Clint Eastwood and John Wayne. That's what you heard. Will Smith with the rush to excommunicate him versus Clint Eastwood and John Wayne. And then I also, in this segment, I want to talk about Charlie Sheen with his HIV scandal versus Lushawn Williams, which you guys may not know, but he was a 19-year-old boy back in the 80s who was infected with HIV, and he was criminalized and before he was even found guilty. And they also illegally put his medical records in the newspapers exposing his HIV status because he was in Hudson Valley and other places sleeping with white women and white young girls. And he was a young black man from Brooklyn. And I also want to talk about Robert Downey Jr. and his drug and criminalization versus the minority community. And basically the 80s with the whole drug laws and all that kind of stuff, whatever. So in that segment, this is what I want to talk about. So let's start out with Will Smith.
Yeah, but okay. Okay, Will Smith and Chris Rock. Okay, that should have been between them two. Even leaving Jada out of the picture.
Jada Pinkett.
Talking about the 4 years. They should have left out of the picture because here's why. It's up to them to settle that. Because that wasn't the biggest detriment was to Will Smith because everyone knew he was going to win the Oscar.
Exactly.
So out of character, that's his punishment.
Right.
But the whole thing about taking this Oscar and all of that.
And banned for 10 years.
And banned for 10 years. This is a segue into what Brother Tai just said. When you go back to what we left out Marlon Brando.
But before we even get into the whole, the reason why I said the Clint Eastwood thing, and the reason why I didn't say Marlon Brando, because we would also have to bring up
So I'm jumping ahead.
right. Yeah, we would also have to bring up Light Feather, and we didn't want to introduce those facts first. We wanted to introduce the demonization.
Okay, he was demonized for a much lesser offense.
Exactly, and then
that shouldn't have escalated. It should, because like Puff Daddy said, we're going to settle this after that the party. That should have been the extent.
That should have been the extent of it. But see, what happens is that our community, and I'm talking about the Black community, we always hold like you ever watch the news and and they talk about somebody who did something a criminal and you be praying, you be listening for the name, you be like, oh, don't let it be Lushawn Williams. Because he's in the segment. Only reason why I use his name. Or when they bring somebody up to speak, you want them to be able to speak proper English, and you don't want them to have rollers in their hair. Because as the Black community, for all of you guys who don't know, we take onus of every single thing, every hit, and it's put upon us by society that every Black person you see is a reflection of the entire race across the universe, not just in America. Everywhere in the world, you are depicted by those images that are chosen by the media. So we take it hard. So we go hard against our people when I think that that's kitchen table talk. So let me break that down before we get into the Clint Eastwood thing. On how simple this could have been taken care of. Will Smith getting an Oscar, exciting night. His wife is there. She's super excited. She just came off of an announcement in the media of her hair loss tragedy with alopecia and all of this kind of stuff. Chris Rock comes up to commentate. The monitors say something else. He takes a beeline and looks at Jada Pinkett and decides in that moment that he's going to diss her on national television in front of the world when he created a movie about women's hair and all of that. So he knows the hardship of Black women and their hair. So you guys keep letting him off too easy. So that was the setting of it. Will Smith even kind of chuckled a little bit about it until he saw the hurt on his wife.
He was laughing.
I'm gonna leave it at chuckles. You say laughing. He saw his wife's face, and it was like any other American. And I say American meaning anyone else. If their wife was embarrassed that way on national TV, and it was your night that you were supposed to be, he went and he thought he had to do something. How he handled it, Some people may agree, some people may disagree, but he handled it that way. And both parties were in the wrong because Chris Rock should have not attacked this woman. And this is not the second or third time that he's done this to attack Jada. So Chris Rock, stop hiding behind I'm a comic, because there's certain things that are just not comedic and just not funny, especially when you already had a scripted show. Stay on script. This is the Academy Awards. This is not the Chris Rock show, and this is not you on at Caroline's. That being said,
well,
now we
back
can
on that a little bit. Just a little bit for a few seconds. I'm going to because David Chappelle did the same thing. That's not.
But he wasn't hosting the Oscars.
I understand it. That's not the.
The Oscars is, excuse my French, one of the whitest shows in America.
I understand that, but when you look at
so when you take their opportunity during that show to disrespect the black woman on that show,
you say disrespect. What he basically said was a joke about G.I. Jane. It was not that bad. When Will Smith was not chuckling, he was laughing. When it was the cutaway, which they didn't show, during the cutaway, when she did that disgusting one, during the cutaway, she basically gave it to Will almost like, you
like
know,
any other wife would have.
Okay, yeah, but that was the night to do that. Like, Puppy was right. You should have did that. Should have been handled after the show, not during. You don't walk on stage, and I understand what you're saying. You may be right, but you don't walk on stage in the middle of the Oscars and slap somebody.
And I didn't say that he should have done that.
No.
What I'm saying is, because before people think that's what I'm saying.
It shouldn't have been that dude. Will Smith was laughing. He was not chuckling.
To me, he was chuckling. I've seen him laugh.
For you guys to decide.
I've seen him laugh before.
Okay.
And he was like, when they showed
during the cutaway is when it got heated because supposedly Jada like kept on like this, like you really got, and I'm gonna tell you why.
But see, now we put it on Jada.
No, I'm not.
These two men are grown men.
I'm going to bring the boss into the barn because then Jada's going to get after that and say it wasn't that big a deal. Almost like I don't know why Will did that. So don't bring your man to the show. Don't bring your man out there to defend you. And then when he does, she halfway threw him under the bus by saying, well, you know, I didn't think it was that serious. Really? So that's why I'm saying it was way overblown for a little joke that he.
Okay, but we're going too far into this. Okay, we're going too far into that. We agree to disagree because the point of talking about it was to talk about.
And they don't even know she has alopecia.
Yes, they did know because she just said it on the internet.
And she looks good with it.
Right, but she's a beautiful woman. So
she is. But
we're gonna move past that
because
we need to move past that because we need to talk about the reason why that wasn't the most violent Oscars ever, because that's what it was. That's what it was posted as. But that's not even close. The Clint Eastwood and the John Wayne aspect of it came in 1973 when Marlon Brando decided that he was not going to accept his Oscar for Best Actor, and instead he sent Miss Lightfeather over to accept the award for him because of the treatment of the Native American community or the indigenous people, however you refer to that community, and how they were depicted in Hollywood and how they were mistreated and how white people used to play them. And Clint Eastwood, in presenting the award, said, well, I don't even know if I should be presenting this award with all of the cowboys who were killed, yada, yada, yada. And when Miss Lightfeather went on stage, they had to restrain John Wayne from going up there to attacking her and calling her all kinds of names. And just last year, the Academy had just now apologizing 50 years later, apologizing to her about this. And she, in this year, in a newspaper in excuse my ignorance, I'm losing the publication. I want to say Vanity Fair. She spoke about the incident and she said that was the most violent Oscars in the history of the Oscars, and she doesn't understand how that the American people can forget about that when they want to take John Wayne's name off of everything, but they do it under the brush it under the carpet because John Wayne is who he is.
I agree with that. And okay, first of all, it's two-tiered emotion. I don't think that you use a venue like that to portray your political views, because that's not what the show is about. The show is about movies. I think it should contain and stay within the confines of that. I understand why Marlon Brando did it. I just don't think that's the platform for it, because you kind of tarnish the other actors and actresses at that time, and we'll just call them actors because it's kind of a monolithic now. I don't think that you use that. You don't politicize that. That's not political.
But that's not politicizing.
It is politicized.
It wasn't political. It's
When
social.
you
When you talk about social injustice.
That's politicizing.
No, it's not. Politics is not social justice. Politics is something that's not even real. You know what I mean? It's something that we created. When you talk about social justice and the way that the Academy are treating a certain segment of the world, why not use that platform to show them their error and their ways? The same way that the rappers didn't go to the Grammys that year. That's not being political. That is called standing up for what's right.
You don't, okay, I get that, but that's not what that platform is. The Oscars is about movies. It's about paying, homage to those who did a great job in their craft. That has nothing to do with social standing, media, politics.
It has everything to do with social standing, because if you're giving out awards to people for doing a great job, and their great job is in blackface, and you don't talk about that, come on now, that's not a great job. Hire a black actor. Don't put somebody in red makeup and talk about how and all of this ignorance. Hire a person who is Native American. That is the perfect place to let them know, because those are the people who make the decision on who gets on the screen.
I totally disagree with that, because
you're wrong.
No. You guys decide if I'm wrong. No,
we already know who's wrong.
I'm going to tell you what. I love to do a vote, and then we'll see. I'm going to tell you what. That's what the Oscars are. Is a tribute to your craft. Your craft.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Is it really? Backstage, you were just talking about how they didn't do things for Cicely Tyson and yada, yada, yada.
Yes, they didn't. But what I'm saying is, still, within the confines of that, you can protest that by saying, okay, I'm not going to see a white movie. I'm not going to see, or whatever. That's how you pay homage. Or you say, you go to see black movies. Movies that should win. This is why, they're making up to us by giving, Oscars to, like, they say, well, you know what, Halle Berry should have won for, she did an excellent job. I don't care if they're making up for that. If you cheated, that's fine. But what I'm saying is, the platform for the Oscars is for the movie industry. It's not about what happened on the reservation, who did this or who did that. That's not, there are other ways to do that.
Where was he supposed to do it?
In everyday life, you do it. You don't pick that hit, what you do. You protest.
But that's the only place that he can get the world's attention. Yes.
Are you serious? He's the biggest one of the biggest actors ever. He did The Godfather, okay? Why? Let me tell you, he would not do it against the Italians. When they had to stick against them, he didn't say nothing about that. He didn't say, oh, well, that's not true, because that was glorified. Being in time, but now I understood, and first of all, what she did and said, I'm totally for. I don't think that you bring that to the Oscars, because to me, it's an injustice. It's to everyone else. It tarnishes their night for everyone else, because everyone else who bust their ass, who poured their heart out into a role that warranted them getting.
But he didn't do anything.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about everybody else that did their best role to get them an Academy Award. They were tarnished.
Okay, we're gonna
And
have
I
to
don't
move on
think
to the
they
next
deserve
subject.
that. That's what I'm saying.
We're gonna have to move on to the next part of it because
No, we can't. We're not gonna lie.
we'll agree to disagree. But the one thing I want to just make a clarification. Marlon Brando did not make a statement. He did not cry on stage. What he did was he protested by not going. He sent Mike Feather to get his award for him. And out of that act, she was attacked. That is the point of this story. The point is not about the Academy Awards. The point is not about any. She was attacked. This Native American woman was attacked just for being her and going on stage, even though she didn't accept the award for him and or whatever. She was still attacked. And that's what we're talking about.
He didn't. That.
No,
he should have went on stage and said, "I'm not going to accept it on behalf of them." That would have carried a lot.
Right, but the point is that she was wronged, and she had violence perpetrated against her, and she looked at the she looked at the she looked at what was going on with the Will Smith thing, and she made a comparison. That is the point of this.
But very quickly,
no, we're not going to go into what I would do because it's about what he did, and it's about the history, and it's about the history of the Academy Awards. So we need to kind of stay in context of what it is, because we're giving all this clarification and all that kind of stuff when it was a horrible night, and in contrast to what happened with Will Smith, which was very contained and very and ended in very quickly. You know what I'm saying? And it should have stayed in that particular moment and moved past there.
You know what you should have did very quickly? You should have pulled the guard books. I felt that Clinton should have won the award. He was the best entertainer of the year. Here's my Grammy. I'm going to leave it right
And that's
there.
what he did. No, he gave, yes, he did. Because he was giving her, if you read this, guys, please read the story. Please read the story. Please read the story. Because this could go on for 75 years.
No, I know.
But wait, let me just clarify.
It's not the story.
He sent her to accept the award, not on his behalf. He was giving his award to her, just what you just said. So, but instead of him being there and giving it to her, he just didn't show up in protest. And instead of her being allowed to accept or not accept his award, she was attacked. Point blank, period. That was wrong. That was violent. Yes, and that goes down in history as the most violent night. We can't go down the rabbit hole of what we would do. We want to talk about the facts and just keep it on the facts. So then we're going to move from that. From Charlie Sheen, where it is, oh God, Jesus help me, Lord. Charlie Sheen versus Sean Williams. So I know I'm being messy.
Ooh, Charlie. How many miles did Charlie have at the same time? Oh, God. But even when he did it 1.5 men.
2.5 men.
2.5 men, sorry. When he did that, they said, please bring Charlie back. You know what? That's Hollywood, because here's why. The way he portrayed and played what he did, when you compare it to what you're talking about now, that's Hollywood. That's a total injustice. And it's a total slap in the face to people, to AIDS, to people that have AIDS, that are basically people of color, that are not white.
That's not true.
With Charlie Sheen?
No, you said people who have AIDS.
Oh, no. I'm saying, because I'm not comparing it to Charlie Sheen. I'm not going to, I'm going to give it a microcosm of it. It was.
Okay, so this is my take on it. So Charlie Sheen, you know, he did a Rock Hudson. And for those of you who don't know what Rock Hudson is, Rock Hudson was a big movie star like Marlon Brando that we were talking about what happened back in the days. And he went on Dynasty, and he had a makeout session with I don't think I can think of the actress's name, but she played Crystal, and he had HIV.
The both
at the time. Yeah, and she was out way before both Derek.
No, he was the first wife that he had himself.
So he had HIV. He went on there knowing he had HIV. He kissed the lead actress and all that kind of stuff. So it's a big stink about it. The same hints we talk about the Charlie Sheen incident when he was on 2.5 Men. He had he was known to be a womanizer. So obviously he was making out with tons and tons of women. Hence his life behind the scenes. While he was being arrested and not arrested, but police being called to hotel rooms because he had prostitutes in closets, because he's thinking that they're stolen from him, and he's breaking up hotel rooms while his kids and these was in another room across the hall, and all of this criminality, and still had not revealed his status to these people. And one of the actresses, who is one of the Wahlberg's girlfriend, I can't think of her name, blonde hair, but her name just jumped right out of my mind, what have you. She was also on the View. She was on the View as well. And it's Donnie Love, such and such, whatever. I can't
Jenny McCarthy?
Jenny McCarthy. Jenny McCarthy got on in the media, and she said that she felt violated that he did not reveal his HIV status to her. And he had been known that he was HIV positive for years. According to, after she made that statement, then his lawyers came out with a statement that he didn't know when he was on 2.5 Men, which the timelines didn't add up.
Just like Black Hawks.
And so I say that to say this, because Lushawn Williams, he was a 19-year-old black boy from Brooklyn, who in the height of the HIV/AIDS era, before there was all of this testing, before people knew what the virus was and what it could do, before there were PrEP and all these other things that were going on, before there were even medications that could help you, it was completely a death sentence, and people were freaking out. This 19-year-old boy was pushed into the public eye because it was found or rumored that he slept with more than 50 women from the age of 17 to whatever. But because he was 19 and some of the women he slept with were 17, they tried to make a criminal case about it. So he ends up going to jail for upwards of 10 years. And as he comes up for parole, Cuomo, who was one of the prosecutors at the time, pushed for him to get a life imprisonment. Not only did they push for him to get a life imprisonment, they also publicized his private medical records in the media, across the newspapers. They put his face out there, all of that kind of stuff, and made him and demonized him, what have you. He is still in jail today. He was supposed to only get 10 years. Mind you, he didn't kill anyone. He may have been ignorant in the way he handled himself when he was a 19-year-old boy. At 19 years old, we're just coming out of high school, first year college. Think about how stupid you were, especially when not knowing about what this virus was, what it could do, and all of that. So I talk about that because how does Charlie Sheen get to still have this magnanimous career and all of this kind of stuff, and this young boy is still in jail?
Also, remember Rock Hudson, who was the precursor to even Charlie Sheen, who knew he had AIDS, had his agent bringing him young boys by the dozen, and he said, well, he just doesn't care. He said, well, if I'm good, but he was glorified as a famous actor. So it is a double-edged sword. And same thing with Charlie Sheen. And I agree with you. Charlie Sheen, that is much worse because that's more present day. And now, but there's no prosecution against him. Exactly. He got sued, I think, by a couple, but I'm not going anywhere. I think when he paid off. But he's not doing life in prison. He's not doing 10 days. He's not doing a day.
Exactly.
So what's the end result? I mean, like you know what? still, it always comes down to a racial issue because if the skin tone was different, the entire outcome, the entire way was, the entire scenario, prostitution, everything, the way the media played up like this guy was the devil, would have been totally different. So this is still the misnomer that we as people, like you said, we cannot continue being our own worst critics. Not that we were in this case, because you know more about it than I do. But we seem to have a proclivity to do that, and that needs to stop because Charlie Sheen is
proclivity, I mean, SAT word, y'all. I'm educated. I hear you. So, you know, it's important.
And it makes me angry.
But I know some people at home are like, why are you talking about this? And it's because it's like the segment prosecuting the case to make a point, to let you know that things in society have to change. People have to stop looking at a certain race of people and across the board criminalizing them. Across the board, automatically giving them the criminal intent and evil and less smart and all of those kinds of things, what have you. And I'm setting up these things so that as a people, first and foremost Black people, then everybody else, to start to look at the differences and how we need to change how we decide on who's supposed to be exiled and who's not. If one is treated one way, they all should be treated the same way. Under the same standard.
We get tagged with that.
Yeah, under the same standard.
And that's what we can't have.
So then the other one that I wanted to talk about under this topic was Robert Downey Jr. And everybody knows him as...
Oh, he always has the best drugs.
No, Iron Man. Everybody knows him as Iron Man. Everybody knows him as Iron Man. But he's clean, and he's been clean for a couple of dozens of years.
Kudos to him for that. And we'll get into that. I think that was fun, because somebody got to pick up. But yes, they know.
Everybody knows him as Iron Man. So
who's a great actor, by the way. And the thing is, I'm sorry, I'm not making light of the drug problem. It was a little pun intended to make up the monotony of the show, but yes, he is a great actor, and I want to back to you. I just want to say, by the way, I'm making fun of him because he did the drug.
No, but the thing is that he had a drug problem back in the 80s and 90s. He was one of my favorite actors. He was in this movie called Less Than Zero. And all of the Brat Pack, they called them, those were all of the great Hollywood teenagers. And they were all in this movie. It was an amazing movie. I beg you guys to go and see it, Less Than Zero. And in this movie, he happened to play a drug addict. But life imitated art, because in his real life, he was struggling with drugs. And he kept getting arrested. He kept getting arrested. He kept having to go to rehab, kept having to do this. And the judge kept giving him a break, giving him a break. And I don't disagree with the way that he was treated. I think that he was treated appropriately. The reason I'm using him versus the minority community, because as they say in today's terms, Black and brown people go and get incarcerated for smaller amounts of weed. And it's just like with cocaine and the person on Wall Street having the same amount of cocaine, or the doctor, or the airline pilot, or whatever, this, that, and third. And we get, you know, these long, drawn out sentences and stuff like that, or what have you. And they created this whole thing about, you know, calling us, you know, super predators and all of this kind of stuff. Hillary Clinton and all of that, and Bill Clinton and all of them, and the Reagans and all of them, even Biden, all of them wanted to go. And mind you, what's hypocritical and funny, look at Biden's son now, drugs. So, and all of the laws that put Black and brown people in jail don't apply to him. So I use Martin Downey Jr. versus the minority community because I feel like the treatment that he got up until the point where they did eventually incarcerate him. But then when he was incarcerated, he also was able to get treatment. He wasn't laying on the floor of a prison cell while he was detoxing. So the humanity that they show them is the humanity that they need to show the minority community when it comes to these drugs, because now we're talking about the
exactly.
with these what do they call these new drugs are called
Opioids.
versus crack, and look at how the difference on how they're treated.
Much worse.
And it's government sanctioned. So
and here's the thing, I'm going to hit on very quickly, I'm not going to elaborate. What happened, okay, Robert Downey Jr. got the treatment that anyone should have received, black, white, or indifferent. But when you look at and bring up a sports issue, Tommy Lasorda was one of the greatest managers ever of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He criticized Darryl Strawberry and Dwight Gooden. 1 year, admitted they had a cocaine problem. They saw treatment, but yet he went to bat for a guy called Steve Howe, who was suspended from baseball 5 times for cocaine addiction, for cocaine. And he went to bat for, he's a good kid. He needs a second chance. They gave him 5 chances. The first time, Dwight Gooden, at that time, was one of the best pitchers in baseball. The one incident, and Tommy Lasorda said, he's a disgrace. He should be thrown out of baseball. So my point is, he should have received the Robert Downey Jr. treatment. So what you said is absolutely correct. I don't blame Robert Downey Jr. because he's white, because
that was appropriate. He was treated
appropriate.
appropriately, and that's the way that we should treat people.
Exactly.
And even with the jail sentence, I thought was a little bit harsh because he was in addiction,
Right.
and the reason why he kept breaking his probation or whatever is because he was in addiction. The treatment wasn't working.
Exactly.
So even I don't think that the criminal, but eventually he ended up.
Addicts are the best con men in the world.
So now, moving off from this topic, because I see it was a little bit heavy and a little bit long-winded and all that kind of stuff, and I do apologize to that, to you, ladies and gentlemen, but it's very important to me. So it's very important to me to give you information that you can digest, that when you move into society, because of the way the world is moving and shaping, and because things are being taken away from us, and our voices are being used against us, and our education is being stifled, that we start to think in a different way, universally, as people. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm excited about this segment and bringing more topics like that, like the more you know, like the new Sean Williams. I'm sure people didn't know about that, and they'll look it up, and they'll start to look at how people are being treated in that realm. So now this new segment that I also want to do is called That's Entertainment. So in this segment of That's Entertainment, I want to discuss, movies and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about some films on Hulu, like Reasonable Doubt. Have you ever seen Reasonable Doubt?
No, I haven't. As of yet, I have that to watch. I'm just so busy.
What about Cherish the Day?
Yeah, that either. I've been watching. Okay, I'm guilty. When you're in the business, and then near the end of the year, you get the mad bucks, you get money and everything. So my leisure time has been cut like this short. But I do plan on doing major binge watching. Within the next 2 weeks, I'm taking the rest of the year off. I'm going to binge watch everything that you're talking about. So enlighten me so I know what I mean.
Okay, so Cherish the Day, this is the second season. This is the second season of Cherish the Day. And my girl Joy Bryant is on it this season. I love me some Joy Bryant. But first season, it's about a couple and how they meet and how they fall in love and how they court each other. And the first season was this couple and how they met and courted each other from 2 totally different backgrounds. One grew up in like Crenshaw or something like that, and the other one grew up and he was well-to-do, both black couples, whatever. Ava DuVernay is the executive producer of this show. I love it. I told you guys that I have been making a concerted effort to watch a lot of black and minority films produced, written, and directed by minorities, and also the LGBTQ space as well. I've been making a concerted effort because you have to search for those things. in order to find quality programming in that field, which on ABC, CBS, and NBC, and all those other networks, you can find any other kind of show, whatever. So I've been making a concerted effort to do that. Not only as a filmmaker, shout out to my film Call Me, we're doing really well in the film festival circuit. Shout out to Call Me and Black Fruits Matters, my second film. My second film, Black Fruits Matters. That's what my show is for. It's about me. It's my name. So guess what? Black Fruits Matters in both production, and I'm really excited about that and what have you. And I'm also getting ready to start doing auditions for Call Me the drama series, what have you. So I made a concerted effort to watch. Yes, a drama series for Call Me. And because it originated as a drama series, you know, it was.
So now he can still wait. I'm just like, yeah.
Well, first you got to clip your contract here.
Oh Jesus!
Let's first you got to do your contract.
No, wait, what's okay?
Before you start looking at
wait, I'm going to cut it right now. Ain't enough.
Look, let me look at your contract right now. Let me see. No, you can't do that. No.
Wait.
Hell no.
Wait.
And double hell no.
Wait.
So I'll send this to your lawyers.
So I can do the contract right now.
And right now,
Ain't
so guys, I would love to sit here and go on, but we need to go to our first commercial break. Thank you so much. We'll see you in 5.234 seconds.
The music thing, it's going good, but it has an expiration date. Never forget where your loyalty lies. The oath you took when you chose this life, there's only one way out, and it's not the way you came in.
They should be able to hear, unless you have them.
Hey, how are you? Welcome back. That was my drama series Call Me, and speaking of whatever, and that was a commercial for it, and the promo teaser for the drama series Call Me, which you can find on my Roku station as well as my Vimeo station, what have you, and which soon it'll be on other platforms as well. So back to That's Entertainment. What shows and movies have you been watching? Because I saw Wakanda Forever and Woman King, and I want to get into both of them.
Okay, we'll start with that Woman King. First
Yes.
Viola Davis. Let me tell you, she is the. I hate to say it because I don't want to draw a connotation, but she is the black nurse. She in that movie. To me, it was an awesome movie because you know how I feel about black women. I think that they are, you know. I love that. I love the movie. I thought it was an excellent job. It's a true story, but I mean, of course, they changed some of the things, but I'm not going to nitpick with that. Wakanda Forever. I saw the reviews. The majority of the people loved it, but you have to remember when you critique it. It's Marvel. It's a comic book series, so you have to look at it a different way. You can't look at it as being a movie made to be a movie because that's not what it was. It is a comic book movie. It's a Marvel movie. So if the younger people love it because they read the comic books and then they follow, so they know. See, I didn't know. I was like, so Darren, so who's this and who's my son? Who's this and who's that? And able to follow. So when you critique it, you have to kind of critique it based on that, not the movie itself, because it's not a self-standing movie.
Okay, so I totally
So that's what I
disagree.
said.
I totally disagree.
Right,
Because loved it, right, because of what it stands for. But we also have to keep in mind that it is a comic book movie, and we always want to honor our actors and our people who've done a great job. But there were 17 million Batmans. There was 360,000 Supermans. There can always be room for another Black Panther who could have played the same role, but just a different actor. It wouldn't have been a disrespect to his memory.
No, but
So
in the comic book though, that's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm
They
just
didn't
saying.
change because he died. All right, go ahead.
They did change a lot because of his.
In the movie, but
In the
not
movie.
they followed the cut. There were 3 black men, including, well, I don't want to give away to those that haven't seen it, so I'm not, because it's still because you had about.
Right, but
it's
what
so long,
I'm saying,
so
what I'm
long,
saying
so
is
I don't wanna go up to
that the basis of the characterizations were based on the fact that they did not want to take away from the original actor or what have you, and that was the conversation around everything. And I feel like if you're going to do a comic book
But you
series,
there's only so much you can say without giving that away.
that's why I didn't say anything about it. That's why I'm just saying.
Now.
Right. No, that's why I didn't say I'm being very vague. And so the reason why I say that is because when you steer away from the true characterization of each character and move it towards what happens in real life, you do a disservice to the comic book series at all. I feel just like if Star Wars, you couldn't have the same Luke Skywalker because he had the age, and it took them how many years, because they started in the middle and then they moved to the beginning and then they moved to the future and all of that kind of stuff. So by the time
not familiar with the comic book, I can tell.
You know, so by the time it caught, just like perfect example with this new movie that Whoopi Goldberg is executive producing. She was supposed to play the role, but it was 10 years ago. So how could she play Emmett Till's mother and do it justice? Because she was supposed to do it 10, 15 years ago when they first started to produce it. So guess what? She gave it to another actor. And that's what I'm saying is that if we would, and I loved the original, but there always is room to improve it by, you know, keeping in with a new actor. I feel like a new actor should have been able to step into that role and then and what have you. So, and I won't even get into anything else because then it'll give it away. Then it'll give it away. But I just feel like we need to.
You have a million kids.
I know, right? I know. So now, Woman King.
Oh, I love that.
I thought
but
it
they
was
deviated from the original, which I didn't mind.
Because it was an adaptation of it for entertainment purposes. Yeah. So they took creative license.
That was awesome.
And it was amazing. It was amazing.
And she wasn't in shape that good.
Yeah, and I don't think that she's anybody's black anything. I just think that she's one of the greatest actresses on the planet.
The reason why I did the parallel is because
we go away from doing parallels in my world. You know what I'm saying? You can do parallels.
No, you know I did the parallel. I did the parallel because when they said that, and I'm like, yes, I'm putting her on the same plane as her and above. And I think we have to do that because they always do the comparisons in order for us to be there. And it's not going to change, even though I know we should be, but I'm going to say, well, you know what? So she's like Meryl Streep, I think she's better. Because Meryl Streep was never in shape like that. So that's the reason why I said that.
And I get that.
It's not
that.
Playing catch up or like we have to feel like we have to belong.
But it is kind of sort of.
Keep it up quick. That was synonymous with her being able to adapt to any role. I just think that this, because Meryl Streep could never did this role, so that's why I'm saying that.
Okay, I did a talkback session like this with a few panelists, what have you, some from Essence, yada yada yada.
About
right?
The movie or
no. This is to talk about what you just did.
Okay.
So and one of the kids in the audience said, when I grow up, I want to be like you, Tai Chunn. I want to be able to move my career through fashion, through entertainment, and all this other kind of stuff, and still be relatable, humble, and still be approachable. And in that talk, I said, you need to own in on what makes you special. And once you start to develop yourself, you will far exceed what it is that I did, because you're supposed to stand on my shoulders so you can see higher and further than what I've ever seen and done. So by the time you finish doing what you're doing, you'll be the next you and not the next me. You should always strive to be the best you. So what we do as a community is that we do this. You have to be 10 times better than this person. You have to be 5 times better than this person when you walk in. And we set our kids up for this unrealistic expectation of excellence, when you just need to be the best you and come as your whole self and what have you. So when people say she's the next this person, or she was just as good as Meryl Streep, it takes away from the actress that she is. And that's what I was saying about that.
Well, that's not what I said, that's not the connotation what I was saying.
But I'm just saying that's what
I was saying she's the equivalent of that. I was not saying that she is the Meryl Streep.
But even saying she's the equivalent
No,
of,
what I said,
but even saying she's the equivalent of is making a comparison of who she is instead of just saying she's great. What's wrong with just saying she's great?
I said, but you know why? But you know I equate to Meryl Streep because of multi roles that she played. So that's the equation. Like today, I talked to someone and I said, we talking about comedians. And I said, you have comedians like Robin Williams, I said, was the equivalent of the Black Richard Pryor. And they knew what I was saying. So it wasn't like a comparison to say that he had to be this or the one had to be the other. It was one relates to the other and nothing to do with anything else. So when I was saying that, it didn't go beyond that to say that, oh, we have to be the equivalent to to Meryl Streep. That was not the objective. That was not my point.
And I get that that's not what you're saying. That's not what you. I get that's not what you meant. But I have a thing when I have to tell people. Sometimes what you mean to say, language has power, and because of the history of the comparison, when we do the comparison, it gets lost in translation. People think.
And when Vest has a boxer, they go, "Oh no, he's a white Muhammad Ali," but you take it for being just that, not beyond that.
Well,
So
we need to think beyond that because words have power, and we have young kids looking at us thinking, do they have to compare themselves to this person? And no, she is great. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I feel like we need to just say she's a great actress. And she's parallel to none. She's a great actress. She stands on her own, and she was phenomenal. What happened?
I said that because she said that.
Mm-hmm.
She said I am the. She said it was a joke. She was paid over to Meryl Streep by multiple roles that she played. What they call the queer accent. So she did it in the jest with saying that, and she was right. To me, I think she's the best. They don't call them actresses anymore. They call them actors. So let's correct that. So you're wrong. So she's the best actor today. I think right now, if you had to pick a number one actor, I think she's number one, male or female. I think that she superseded Denzel Washington for the roles that he did, which to me was the best actor because of the multiple roles that he did. He plays a different character. You know, you can say that Jack Nicholson's great, but Jack Nicholson plays a similar role. You know, Robert De Niro, I put in that category because he just played so many different roles, from comedy to this or whatever. He liked black women, but anyway.
On that note, we're going to take a break. This is a fashion moment with Tai Chunn, and this is Brother Leon. You guys can catch us on my Spotify, my Amazon Music, my YouTube station, and all social media at Tai Chunn. We are going to a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to go into social commentary.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to A Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn, and this is Brother Leon. So this segment is called Social Commentary. I don't know if you guys can see this on my iPad, but this picture has been circulating on the web. And it's a picture of Kanye West, and he's holding a notepad. And on a notepad, it says, to learn who rules over you, simply find out who you are not allowed to criticize.
Oh,
Now, I'm sorry, I just don't feel like, I just think that everybody is entitled to be dumb once in their life and say dumb things and do things that are considered dumb in today's society and things that are considered to be off kill. We have Shia LaBeouf, who was going around acting a fool. Nobody canceled him the way that everybody is trying to get rid of Kanye West and kick him out of the cookout and all this kind of stuff. Like, the brother is going through whatever he's going through, but a lot of things that he's saying is his right to feel that way and his right to say it. So I just don't know if I'm buying into the whole cancel him, the whole losing his Adidas and making him not a billionaire anymore and all of this kind of stuff. I just think that it's a lot to do about nothing when it comes to taking away someone's own way of making a living or their financial status in the world. I think that there's a lot of ways that he could have been, brought to the table and maybe get a different understanding of what he said and how it was hurtful to people and given a chance to make amends if he wanted to or what have you. But when you go after somebody's money and all that kind of stuff, I think it's intentional, and I think that it is, it leads into a lot more than just what he said and what he's saying. It's a lot more to do with a lot more than that.
yeah, well, we already know that. You own the business. I own the business. You and I both know there's certain people you can't piss off, whether you want to or not, because that's the nature of doing business. Okay, and number one, you have to kind of clear things up. He pushed Forbes and complained that he wasn't a billionaires list because he wasn't a billionaire.
He was a billionaire.
Let me finish. He wasn't. I'm going to tell you
He
why.
was a
Wait,
billionaire.
Let me finish. Then you can rebut. He was worth $400 million. So
He was not worth $400 million.
Let me finish. You can rebut. Like I said, I'll let you finish.
But I can't let you finish.
Wait,
It's not
no,
factual.
yes, you can because no, it is.
But it's not factual. He wasn't. They
You gotta let me finish.
But you can't say something that's not true.
No, it is true.
It's not true.
Well, let me finish it. Then you can rebut that. He was worth $400 million. With the $1.2 billion, he championed Forbes to put him on the billionaires list based on the projection of the money that he would make, not what he has. He does not have $1.2 billion. He's not worth that.
90% of the billionaires are not liquid.
Okay, listen. All right, that's
It's
what I'm saying.
assets.
Okay, let me finish. I understand. Let me finish. So Forbes did not put him on the billionaires list. He basically complained and championed him to do so. They confirmed it with Adidas. So yes, the projection was he would worth just under 1.3 billion. But what happened when this happened and Adidas pulled out, then it came down to his net worth was a little over 400 million. So he's not a billionaire on paper. He's not a billion.
No billionaire besides Jeff Bezos and those guys actually are billionaires when it comes to liquid money. It's assets. People are billionaires because of assets. Nobody is billionaires because they can go into a bank and pull out $1 billion.
Yes, they can.
No, they cannot. First of all, banks don't even carry that much money.
No.
First of all, let's just be honest. First of all, banks don't even carry that much
I'm
money.
going to tell you why. Because if you're not a publicly traded company and you're a sole proprietor like Bloomberg, Bloomberg is an independent company. He has no shareholders. The 22 billion, he's worth that.
He's worth that, but
Wait,
he's
wait,
not
wait.
liquid.
No,
that's what his assets. See, we have to be.
I know what we have to be.
But I'm just saying, you have to be. When you say he's worth that, when you said it's not in cash, it's in assets. He's worth 22 billion. The same way that Kanye West was worth 1.3 billion, which went up to 2.7 or whatever, the third billion in assets. And that's how they calculate all of the billionaires. Listen, that's how they calculated all of the billionaires in the Forbes and curriculum, how they calculated all the billionaires up until that point. So he was able to talk to them about his assets. And when he well, whatever you want to call it, he talked to them about it because it was unfair. Just like when I'll give it a comparison. When people appraise black homes versus white homes, there was a couple who it was a white husband and a black wife. The appraiser came in and saw the pictures of the black wife, and they gave them under $300,000 evaluation. It was undervalued by $300,000. Their home under $300,000. She had her friend come in, and the same company, new appraiser comes in, all white pictures, all white family, and they upward of $600,000. So not only the $300,000, but $300,000 above what it was supposed to be. So, and that's what he was talking about, because the way that the calculations go, it's on assets and not cash liquid.
I understand that, but let me tell you that.
But everybody out here don't understand that. So when we say things, we need to make sure that we flush it out.
The value of your assets is the percentage of that asset that you own. If you own 100% of that asset, and they said that asset is worth $1 billion, you can get $1 billion for that because there's nothing against that. So that's as good as money. If you're on a projection where you own stocks that's worth $10 billion, those stocks are only worth $10 billion if they become $10 billion. That's the difference. Bloomberg is worth $12 billion because he's a privately owned company. He does not have debt, so he's worth the $12 billion. We give another example. We bought a car, a president that we bought, and okay, we paid it off totally. The equity, what it's worth the full value, so that it's an actual asset because there's no debt, there's nothing owed against that. That's the difference. That's not
right.
Wait.
We're going down a rabbit hole.
No, we're not.
Here we are because this conversation is supposed to be about.
Okay, it's about this. But I'm saying, I'm gonna bring it to the world. Kanye, what happened? He's worth $400 million because the rest of it was projection. It was not.
No, it was assets. It wasn't projection. It was assets.
What assets?
And it was assets because of all of the you added in all of Bloomberg. You think he's $12 billion cash liquid? No, it's because of his news network, Bloomberg News. It's because of this, because of that. Buildings that he owns. Wait, listen. Buildings that he owns. Buildings are not cash. That's if you liquidate his buildings and all of his assets and stuff like that, it would not come out to $12 billion. It would not. But anyway, I digress. The point that I was making was not about him talking about his Forbes stuff and all that kind of stuff and disparaging his financial wealth and all that kind of stuff. It's about his right to speak and say what he wants to say.
He has that right. So does Kyrie Irving. And I'm glad that now finally players, which to me should have stepped up with Kyrie much sooner.
Mm-hmm. Like Jaylen Brown, who's one of the vice president of the league's what do you call it, union.
Yeah, but it was more the story. Where the hell is the NAACP? They should have been there from day one to say, okay, if you think he did injustice, that's fine. When he said maybe this, that, or the other. But you cannot treat him with those list of demands the same way.
Yeah, because he's already, as of Tuesday, he's missed 7 games, right. And they still want him to do more. And the reason why Jaylen Brown is getting involved is because of because of Joe Tsai's, I can't pronounce his last name, Tsai, because of the way that he's saying that he has a lot more work to do. Because like I said last week, they want to break him and bring him to his knees, and they want to bring him to his knees. And I use the comparison of the meme that is going around on the internet of Kunta Kinte being beaten until he says Toby, and they want to break him, and that goes into what Kanye West was saying about you can't. If you want to know who controls things, try to criticize them, and you'll see. And that's that's the whole point behind all of this. I don't feel that where's Jeff Bezos and Amazon and all of these people and everybody who's making money, where's their lashing?
Because they control too many people.
I just don't understand.
Can I ask you, all right, let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
You have a brand, okay, and under the Chunwear brand, you have each brand, sneakers, jeans, and it basically, primarily it's a separate brand. So if you have that many brands, you control everything that's under that. The people that make it, the people that sell it, the stores and everything. So now, if somebody was to do the same thing to you, what would you do? Would you say,
to do what?
if they would like to say the spokesperson for you, would you say you gotta go? Would you keep him?
If somebody was the spokesperson for Tai Chunn, these are Tai Chunn sneakers. Tai Chunn hat. So if you said if Kyrie Irving was the spokesperson for Tai Chunn,
or if Kyrie, okay. Suppose okay, you carry under the Tai Chunn brand, you carry Yeezys, and you attach the Tai Chunn brand like Adidas did to Yeezys. Now your brand is popular throughout the world, and you were now, and he did that, and your brand is being threatened to boycott not only the Yeezys but the rest of the Tai Chunn brand. What would you do?
I would keep it because Adidas is stupid because he's 70% of their online. He's 70% of their online sales, first and foremost. 70%. And he's upward of 40-something to 50% of the regular sales in stores. That's just his brand alone, Yeezy. And they're limited edition. So guess what? I would have kept it. Now, when it comes to Tai Chunn brand, I believe in freedom of speech and expression in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And I would have weathered the storm. I've been through worse, and it's not like whatever. People who are going to ride with you are going to ride with you. And we have to stop running for the hills and the mountains every time there's a storm.
But when you say we, because Adidas is not black owned,
I'm not talking about Adidas. I'm talking about we as the human race.
That's never going to happen, and you and I both know that.
No, it's not. See, that's the thing is that everybody is so busy talking about what could never happen that we don't get into the possibility of what could happen if we just held on to our true core values and morals and lived as harmonious.
And I agree with that 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Because people would say, because my grandmother, God rest her soul, before she died, said it would never be a black president. She lived to see a black president. That was never going to happen.
My father-in-law, God bless his soul, he said, I hope he lived to see it. He died just before. But then I had a black relative that said, damn man never went to the moon.
Okay, well, so
that we're not going there.
So now I want to, from now I want to talk about Jay-Z and he's suing Bacardi over the lack of financial transparency because he has a financial stake in Bacardi or whatever. He's suing them over a lack of transparency. What do you think about that?
I think he should. Mm-hmm. I think he should. And I think, I don't give a damn if he loses, I think he should. Because the same precedent that they want to send to Kanye is the same precedent that he should send to them. Well, you're not going to do that to me. Right. I don't care if he loses the damn case. Do it. I think so. He should do it. Bring attention to that. Even if he loses, say, well, you know what? Then it's like it's like the bully. Then as long as you keep punching the bully in the mouth, sooner or later will say, you know what? I'm tired of getting punched in the mouth. I could be whipping his ass, but I don't want to get punched in the mouth no more. If I'm Jay-Z, yes, Sue them, I don't care, he's doing the right thing, I'm proud that he did that. And that goes to what you're saying. You don't have to go along. Sometimes you have to stand in the forefront and say, you know what? No, I'm going to reverse the script. I'm going to sue your ass. Because you have, you know what, when I got in business, you know what one person told me, and I'm not going to take it off kilter. When you go in a place, when you know, I know you've been through it, you know, we're still against the odds, where our counterpart, we have to be better than who we are. But when you go in there, how do you go in? You go in like, I'm better than all of y'all. And that's how you succeed. You have to do the same thing. That's why he should sue them. I'm glad he's doing it.
Mm. And they refuse to. I don't understand how he has a financial stake in it. He promotes for them, he commercials, all this kind of stuff, what have you. I don't understand how they're not being transparent to him about the money that's being made, because he also sued the record label company because he found out that there was $500,000 that he wasn't getting. And I forget the rapper's name, who recently did the same thing and told them if they didn't settle with him, he'd let every other rapper know about auditing. That's what it was. He audited the company and he went in or whatever. So Jay-Z is about his business. The one thing you can say on him. So he's holding them to the same standard that he did.
And I'm glad he did.
Exactly.
I'm glad he did.
Yeah. And then so I just feel like, you know, and that's what I'm saying about, you know, being, you know, standing up for things, whatever this and the third, what have you, and making sure that your voice is heard and that you're being taken seriously. So now I want to get into some kind of messy mess with this
Hold on.
with Charles Barkley and
Oh,
IQ 45.
Well, you know, John Barkley got the.
So you know he just finished golfing with this guy or what have you. But yet he got so much smoke for Kyrie Irving, and IQ 45 has far exceeded Kyrie Irving and Kanye West with what he has done in the sport or whatever. But yet he could get on a golf course with him and is rumored to sign with that company that he owns for that golf tournament. What do you think about that?
You know what? Here's the problem I have with Charles Barkley. Okay, you just signed a $100 million contract that makes you the highest paid sportscaster. Okay, kudos to you for a black man that can do that. But now here's the thing. You don't tarnish that by doing that.
Exactly.
You don't.
How hypocritical.
Because that's like going up the ladder like this and then going back 3 steps. And I'm like, you don't need that. And I don't care if you can't make that a money thing. And then you don't try to take the stance of saying, well, you know what? We have to be this. No, we don't. You have choices. You have to realize that when you become this or that, there is a this or that follows that. So now, when you look at Trump of all people, so to me, I hate to say this, but you know what I got the middle finger here to talk about. I can't show this to y'all, so I just.
But not only that, he also is one of those people. He's one of those people who can't nobody tell me what I'm gonna do. So he's one of those people who I call cut off their nose to spite their face. You know what I'm saying?
He's a rebel without a cause.
So you know, and I just feel like you know, it's just you know, in poor taste, and I think that it's a suckable move.
And I agree with you.
And I feel like he needs to be getting some of that smoke from Stephen A. Smith and everybody else who's coming for Kyrie Irving. Y'all need to come for that.
Like I said, don't be a rebel without a cause.
Holla back.
And that's what he's doing.
Holla back. So let's get into a little bit of sports before we go into the Tyrann and close out. So, you know, Brooklyn Nets, how in the world did they get 121 and still lose?
Because one, Kyrie wasn't there. They just got a new coach. They're getting injured players back that are not into shape yet. When Kyrie comes back, they're going to have to get another big man. Because if you look at what Anthony Davis just did, Because he's just a big man with the nuts lack size. They're going to be fine. They have a core nucleus. They do need another big man. When they went on a little bit of a mini winning streak without Kyrie. When you get Kyrie back, I think they'll be fine. I think they're going to be okay.
So let's go to the Sacramento Kings. The Sacramento Kings, they won, and that team, their oldest player is 31, 32. Everybody else is 26, 22, 24. They wanted to build a legacy. They said they didn't just want it right now. They wanted 10 years down.
John Morant wants to start playing in the NBA right now.
What about the Atlanta Hawks?
Well, look at the Wizards.
Watch the Wizards.
Who would have thought they were?
They put it on.
It's like they came out of nowhere, just like our Jets. Just saying, I mean, good platform, but they go.
And then what about Deion Sanders and the HBCUs and all that kind of stuff? Wasn't that a wonderful thing to see the stepping on national television, ESPN, all of them covering, see the steppers and all of the Divine Nine and all of them up there and seeing the bands and all that kind of stuff, whatever, and what have you. He's doing his thing and bringing it to and letting people know that our school can compete.
He has some toes everything. He has Deion Sanders. I forget what it was. I respect him so much.
Yeah, I love Prime Time. I love him
for what he did. Yeah, I really do. So
do you think that the HBCUs are going to get more players going to different schools from this?
Yes, they are. They're going to get a lot more.
Do you think that we'll see more of the Divine Nine and them on national television and showing them how we do it with the bands and all that, and how we do it?
Well, I thought because it's
doing it BET classic style.
It's a big thing in the South, but it hasn't been in the North.
Right, but it's not on national television.
No, it's not right. Well, I think after this it will be.
Right.
But it's up to
I thought it was joyous. I thought it was amazing. And for those of you who don't know what the Divine Nine are, that is the black sororities and fraternities, the first black sorority and fraternities in the United States that go back 100 years.
And I've been, they don't call it the drum line, but it's the battle of the marching bands. It is, let me tell you, it is awesome.
It was amazing to see that. It was amazing to see that. So this is the end of the show, guys. This is a fashion moment, Tai Chunn, and this is Brother Leon, and this is the end of the show where I go into my tirade. And I think I gave you guys the history of the tirade earlier in the show, around 2002-ish, 4-ish. You can Google it because it comes up alone as the tirade. And I remember one of my girlfriends who worked at MTV at the time was like, I don't like that name. It sounds like rants and raves and da-da-da-da, this and the third, and now look at it. Holla back. That's why I'm telling you guys, stand on your own. Believe in yourself. You know what I'm saying? Be the best you, the greatest you. Because just because it didn't happen in this 5-year plan that you had doesn't mean it doesn't happen. That means that maybe the plan needs to be updated, and maybe some new steps need to be added to it, and maybe some wisdom needs to be applied to it, or what have you. You know what I'm saying? So just because that 5-year plan didn't work out does not mean that you're not meant to be or do. It just means that maybe you need to update the plan and get a new playbook and kind of figure out how to get where you need to go. So I say that because people always try to hold you in one position. When I first got into fashion, I was a social work major and all that kind of stuff, who always was in entertainment. I always was a writer. I always was a producer and all that kind of stuff. I produced my first show at 16, 17 years old at the South Oxford Tennis Club in Brooklyn for Viv 10 Entertainment, when ABC's, all of those groups, whatever, and whatnot, with one of my partners at the time, Vanessa. And I had to be the producer. We had music segments. We had entertainment as far as like comics, all of this kind of stuff going on. We had DJ, bar, all that. I had to do all of that age 16, 17 years old, what have you. I also had to style all of the music acts, do the hair and the makeup for the girls, because we couldn't afford people and people didn't believe in what we were doing. And the company that was funding Viv 10 Entertainment didn't give us any money to pull this off, because I guess they wanted to see what we were gonna be made of. So what ended up happening is I ended up pulling it off anyway. And all of the big wigs, when they found out that the show was gonna go on, showed up at the door with 20 and 30 people with all of this, yes, and tucking their collars and plugging and all this kind of stuff and patting themselves on the back. Yeah, we pulled this off for Bipton Entertainment, and this is a great opening, and whatever. But yet, it was this little boy from Brooklyn who stood steadfast and didn't allow me having to pay in installments. The venue had to go to the armory and to the army base and all of that kind of stuff to get the liquor on discount and stack the bars and all of that kind of stuff and kind of utilize my gifts in order to make this happen, even though a company who had 200 times the money that I had could have done it. So in this tirade, I want you guys to understand, sometimes it is not the fact that you're not supposed to do something, it's that you are supposed to be able to figure out how to do it when nothing else makes sense, when nobody else is there to give you the applause. You have to learn to applaud yourself. You have to be your own cheerleader. You have to be your own motivator, your own innovator, and your own hairstylist in order to get through. So that's what this tirade is for you guys out there who are struggling where you are right now and don't see how you're going to make it happen. Look at the game plan and tweak it. You'll get there. This has been a Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn, and this has been your tirade. And Brother Leon, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I got one. Last week I gave it to the women, so this one you're going to have to draw your conclusion, the meaning of this. There was a young man, he looked up to God and he said, God, how do I know that I become a good man? I know I'm a good man. How do I know that I've made it? That I'm a sound and profound man, that I mean something to this world. And God looked back and said, you'll know by the smile of the woman sitting next to you, especially if that woman's your mother.
Well, this has been a Fashion Moment with Tai Chunn, and this is Brother Leon. Thank you for that final thought.
Next week.
See you next week. You can catch us on Amazon Music, Spotify, TuneIn, and all my social media networks and my YouTube channel, Tai Chunn. See you soon. Peace out. Live a free life.